Detroit's African World Festival returns to Hart Plaza over the weekend of July 12th. Now, an estimated 20,000 people are expected to attend this 41st annual event, which is put on by the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. The festival celebrates the arts and culture of the African diaspora, and it features music and food and vendors, art, and so much more. Here's my conversation with Yolanda Jack, who's manager of community engagement at the Wright. Yolanda Jack, welcome
Yes,
to American Black Journal.
thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have you here to talk about the African World Festival, but I have to confess up front, I still always want to call it the Ethnic Festival. Because I grew
Because
up
that's where
in,
it comes from.
that's right. So I grew up in Detroit in the 70s and 80s, and that's what we used to have. But it's really great that this particular festival has survived as long as it has. It's changed a lot. It's grown. And I think it means more and something different, really, to the city than it did when it was first happening in Hart Plaza.
That's true. That's true. The Wright's African World Festival is one of the oldest, one of the largest ethnic festivals of the ethnic festivals that were originally in place at Hart Plaza back in the late 70s, early 80s. And yes, we have grown to include a variety of music and food and all kinds of fare to bring everybody down to get connected to the African world and what that is in terms of history, culture, and the celebration thereof.
Yeah. Let's talk about the way that you guys describe this African world. I think that term, that phrase is really important here too. The idea that Africa and African people are representative of the world in a really important way.
Absolutely, absolutely. That the diaspora of Africa is deep and strong, from the music, as I said, to the food. And we want to represent all aspects from the African continent itself through the Caribbean and into the Americas, South and North America, understanding that the culture of the African people has been placed is in being cared for in all of these places. There's some history, there's some connection, and there's ways that all of us have an opportunity to connect to it, from literally ingredients of foods to the beats of the music to the stories we tell. So all of these are very connected, and you'll see all of that at African World Festival this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. Talk about what this means to Detroit. The fact that it's in Detroit, which is still America's largest African American majority Black city. The fact that it's in the city with such an important history with regard to African culture and African history and celebrations. I mean, it matters that we do this here.
Absolutely. This is the 41st African World Festival. So we've been doing this for not just a few years, but for some decades indeed. And I think the significance is in the fact that we've been having this party, hosting this festival for so many years. The fact that the Wright Museum will be celebrating our 60th anniversary next year, and we're the hosts of this festival. So to understand the connection between those two things, we have a long, deep history of celebrating Black history and Black culture in Detroit. The revolutionary spirit did not go far when it was being created, and from the Underground Railroad all the way up through to today. So you find that this history, the history that holds Africa and the descendants of Africa, the history, the people, the cultures, that's being celebrated because we know it's here. It's been here since Detroit was a city until today.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about what people will find when they come downtown to Hart Plaza to the African World Festival.
Oh man, you're going to see some great performances, music. You'll see a wonderful presentation, and a way for, if you're an elder, there'll be a village. There's the YZ village and the Watoto village. We're doing an intergenerational activity this year so that we can connect the elders and the youth, as it is in most communities, and from the continents of Africa, even though we see it less frequently perhaps today in larger communities, but it's still an aspect of our connection to each other and within our society, the African communities do maintain a connection of intergenerational connection. And so you'll see that being evidenced in the at the festival this year. You'll see all kinds of health and wellness activities, storytelling, a walking history tour, music, food, shopping. What you want to do, you'll be able to do down at the African World Festival this year. So I don't think
Yeah.
anybody will be bored. You'll have a wonderful way to engage not only one of the days, but from the 12th through the 13th. And then on the closing day of the 14th, there'll be something to connect, to interest you, to pique your interest, or to grow your knowledge about something, and to be able to find a new experience at Hart Plaza this year.
Yeah. Let's talk specifically about food. Food in the city is changing really rapidly. And I feel like there are more African or African influenced food establishments in the city. Is that going to be well represented at the festival?
I expect so. I don't have all the full list of who will be hosting tables or food trucks as opportunity to purchase food this year, but I do know that there will be a good variety, a good array, from soul food to food that you will experience from the Caribbean. And you'll also get the African influence. It's interesting to realize that when we say soul food, we may not realize that we have African influences in those dishes, the macaroni and cheese and the sweet potatoes and the pies, etc. We see all of that, and we might not appreciate that that's from the continent of Africa. So you'll see a variety of stuff that you know and stuff that you don't know. Come and try some wonderful delights at African World Festival this year.
Yeah, yeah. I also want to talk about how this is an event for everyone here. It is specifically for African Americans who live here and celebrating our history and our culture. But the cool thing about the festival is that it, of course, welcomes people who have all kinds of histories and all kinds of connections. It really is about being part of the community here in Detroit and in Metro Detroit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Detroit is a diverse place. You'll find people from all walks of life, from all ethnicities and nationalities represented in our community. And so when you come to the African World Festival, you will be among the tens of thousands of people over the weekend who will have that same opportunity to learn and to connect, to sing together and to dance together, to break bread together over a new thing or something that was tried and true. That's the whole point. That's the reason why we have this festival, to get the connections, to maintain friendships and family. It's the case that some people don't see each other until they come to African World Festival. It's almost like a family reunion, a large family reunion of sorts. And so you do get that energy. You do have an opportunity, vendors that you didn't see since last year, how the children have grown, or have an opportunity to, oh, they still got that piece. I want to make sure I get it this year. So this is the kind of stuff that you see going on. And it's not only things that I'm talking about because this is the thing, but this is stuff that I have experienced over my lifetime going to African World Festival, where my children literally have grown up from year to year and will buy different outfits, and then we'll try to size them. The same vendor doesn't provide the clothing anymore because we got to move to an adult vendor now. So, and it's truly an opportunity to appreciate through the years, through the seasons, how we do have changes, and how even though in the midst among the changes, certain things stay the same. You can go to African World Festival and get your African drip. You can get your earrings and your jewelry and your clothing and make certain that you're ready for all the cultural events. So these are the kinds of things that people come to African World Festival thinking about, planning not only what they're going to purchase because they got to get their shea butter, they got to get their soaps and their earrings, but they're looking for the new outfit that they're going to wear for this special event, or they're looking for a signature piece to place into their home, a sculpture of metal or stone or wood that's going to adorn their mantles or their tables. Here they have an opportunity at African World Festival to learn the culture, to see the beauty, and to see the textures and the flavors, and to hear the rhythms and to feel them and be just immersed in it in a way that perhaps you're not going to find anywhere else on the planet.